Hey friends, over 60% of you are listening to me right now on an Apple product. iPhone, iPad, iTunes. I need your help. The truth is, Apple will make this podcast more discoverable to new listeners the more reviews it has. So I'm here asking you to take a moment and leave a review. If you've gained any value from this podcast, the greatest thing you can do for it, besides spreading the word and telling friends, is leaving a review. It's real simple. If you're on your phone, head over to my podcast page within the Apple Podcast app and leave a review. Or if you're on a computer, you can head over to my podcast page within the iTunes app. That's it. That's all I ask. And if you have other podcasts that you love, do them a favor and do the same for them. It'll make their day. Now let's get this podcast started already. When is the last time that we took a vacation, just you and me?
August.
August of when?
Last year.
Was that Vegas?
Yes.
Okay. All right, let me rephrase that because that's not where I was going. When is the last vacation to South Carolina we took, just me and you?
It's been a couple years.
I want to say 2011.
Probably.
Maybe 2012, maybe. I don't know. There's something about our relationship that I always think about South Carolina. I mean, obviously, as you know, as we've had many discussions, eventually I would love to live here at some point. And I think a lot of it is in our early days of dating, we came down here like 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah.
Now,
right.
When did your family move down here to where you started coming down to South Carolina?
Kelly moved down to South Carolina in probably 2001. And the first time I actually went to see her was 2007.
Okay. Wow, it's a big gap.
Mm-hmm.
What, you just didn't take a lot of trips around that time?
No, we were poor.
I guess that would have something to do with it. I don't know. So 2007, I mean, we got together in 2009, so we're talking like 2 years later.
And it was literally 2 years later that I finally went back down there.
Oh, so you literally went once in 2007.
Yeah.
You skipped 2008, and then you went down in 2009.
Because I didn't drive.
Yeah.
I depended on my parents. I was 17 in 2007.
Yeah, but I thought you guys took a lot of these trips.
Hell no. That's why I traveled all by myself when I finally got a car.
Yeah. And that's around the time I came around. And so, like, that first summer, I think we went down here 2 or 3 times.
Had to have been at least 3.
Wow.
Because we went in July, right after I got the car.
Yeah.
We went in August, and we spent some time in Florida.
Yes.
And then we went back again, I think in January.
Oh, no, you know what it was? New Year's.
Yeah.
So December.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, yes, we went down there 3 times. I don't know. I think it's because it was like the early part of our relationship. It's like when you're first falling in love, and there are certain things that you do or places you go that really stick out in your mind. And so, like, this was one of those things because early on, like, we got along so well that
we don't get along anymore, by the
way. That's not entirely true. It's only partially true. But we got along so well that, like, sitting in the car was like no big deal. You know, for 8 hours, it was no thing. But, like, not even just the car, because I think that's half of the trip is the road trip part of it. It's like, that's the part I gravitate to with it. It's like, I think we've had discussions over the years. It's like, let's just fly. Like, it's so much easier. But then it's like, well, that takes away all the fun. It's like, okay, so like right now we just got into South Carolina like 20 miles ago, roughly. Passed by south of the border. Now that's a tourist trap. It's pretty much a racist place. But as a kid, I always gravitated to it like on road trips because usually I was passing through it in the night. The lights were shining. And it's just like the same thing with casinos or concerts or amusement parks, the lights really get to me. But anyway, the road trip is like half the fun because, like, oh, you know, here we are, we're driving here, we're driving there, and getting there is half the fun.
Sometimes.
Well, when it's me and you.
Yes.
Yeah. It's peace and quiet. Or listening to music we want to hear, and I'm just belting out every word. Happens often. 90s on 9 on Sirius was like our big jam, because we would leave that on for hours at a time, because when you just got that car, it came with like free Sirius
It did.
satellite radio. But that first trip, the funny thing about that first trip is I don't actually remember a ton about the trip itself.
So, no, we didn't listen to 90s on 9.
What did we
You actually
Good Lord,
made
that guy was flying. Wow, this guy in his blacked out truck just passed by us going like at least 120, because I'm going like just below 80 because I'm a wimp. But this guy the cold car shook when he drove by us.
Yeah, Jesus.
We're in the middle of the road trip, by the way. That's why we're talking about road trips. So anyway, I'm sorry, honey. Go ahead.
You actually made a full playlist for us to listen to all the way down to Florida.
Okay, maybe it was the second trip, 90s on 9, because I do remember listening to that.
Yeah.
I made a whole playlist?
You made a whole playlist, and you started off the fucking trip with Vacation's theme song.
For those of you guys that don't know, Holiday Road is one of my all-time favorite songs. It's actually one of the shorter songs that I like, but Lindsey Buckingham from Fleetwood Mac did that song in the early 80s, and it was on the National Lampoon's Vacation soundtrack, and I always thought this song was amazing. But anytime you hear it, you think about a road trip, because you watched that movie growing up, and I know there's an age difference, so maybe that wasn't your movie, but growing up, I love watching that movie, and, you know, associating a road trip with that song. Later in that playlist was Dancing Across the USA, which is another song from that soundtrack, another great song. I want to say that was also Lindsey Buckingham, but I can't be for certain. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Finish your thought.
That was it.
Oh, that was it. Yeah. No, it was just like a whole mixture of songs I remember. And I remember I used to get so meticulous with playlists. Now I'm just lazy and I put it on shuffle if I ever have a playlist. But like before, it was like, okay, I think this song will come on when we're passing through here, and it'll be like this great soundtrack to the area that we're in, which on the surface sounds really, really weird. But if you're somebody that appreciates music and you like a good road trip, you could see where I was trying to sync those up nicely.
Yeah.
But as I was saying, I don't remember a ton about this trip. I know you were like, don't be like kissing all over me in front of my aunt and uncle. I remember you told me that.
Yeah, I was just trying to be courteous because
Right.
we were staying at their house, and they're very Christian.
Yeah.
So no sex before marriage.
Right.
And we ended up having sex in their house anyway. I'm sorry.
All right,
but
geez.
that happened.
All right. Well, wow. There you go, folks. Some little background information. But no, I remember your aunt took us out, me, you, Kelly, and your aunt. We went to this like place. I don't remember what it was. It was pretty good. It was like this little diner or something. Mm-hmm. But like the rest of the trip, I literally don't really remember a lot of that trip.
You don't remember much anyway.
I try.
I mean, I can't help you.
No, I that trip in particular, I just don't remember. I think was that Myrtle or was that the second trip?
Myrtle
was the first trip, right? No, Myrtle was the first trip. It was because Holly was with us. That was the first trip. That's right.
Oh, we went to Myrtle later in the week.
Yes, later in the week we went.
Yes.
I remember that now because I just remember, again, my playlist mine. I'm at the beach. It's night. We got the sunroof open, the windows down, and the Summer Obsession down for whatever is on the radio.
Yes.
God, I'll never forget
I think
that.
Kelly and Holly were sitting in the back seat, and at that point, I think Kelly and Ryan were broken up. So
one of their many breakups?
Yeah.
One of 50?
Yeah.
I love those guys, by the way. They're happily married now. Well, they're married. I don't know. Well, they should be happy.
They should be happy.
Yeah. I don't know if they even listen to this. They're like, wait, what the hell? But yeah, I remember that vividly. I remember just there's something about being in a beach town, especially in the evening. Again, I go back to the lights. I always go back to the lights. It's just a vibe, man. Like the amusement rides, the lights from the different restaurants. And,
we went to Friendly's. That's where it
or,
was.
yeah, we did go to Friendly's.
That's
Yeah.
where it was.
And there was a roller coaster I got on there.
Yeah.
And I just remember that song and just cruising with the wind coming through the car, and I'm just like, wow, this is cool. Meanwhile, your sister and your cousin is probably like, oh God,
Yeah.
we're just watching these two lovebirds that, well, we weren't technically in love yet. We didn't say it until like months later. But
I mean, I was, but
well, wait a minute. Why didn't you say anything?
because you're
Because-
supposed to say it first.
Is that a rule?
I don't know. I thought it
Podcast
was.
listeners, look that up on the internet. Is there like a rule that says that the guy has to say it first?
You know, I accidentally slipped one time. We went to New York.
Was this the first trip to New York?
Yeah.
09?
Yeah.
Kofi Kingston?
Uh-huh.
Hornswoggle?
Yeah, I lost my picture and you found it. And I was like, I fucking love you. And I was like, oh, shit. I hope you didn't catch that.
What, did it go right over my head?
I think so.
I'm such an idiot. That could have been like a big moment, and it just went right over my head.
Yeah, that's fine. You waited until Valentine's Day.
Yes. Yes, I did. It wasn't like let me wait for Valentine's Day specifically. It was just, I don't know. But we've taken many trips to Charleston, South Carolina area. What out of all the trips we've come down here, do you have a favorite that sticks out in your mind?
I don't know. I mean, I liked when Kelly and Ryan got married. I got to spend time with all of my family. 'Cause at that point, 2 of my relatives had cancer.
Right.
So that was one of my favorites.
Well, obviously I was inching towards the time I proposed to you down here, and that just was that went right over your head. Or
It
you,
didn't. I was
it
just being a
didn't.
butthole.
James Island. We have to go down there while we're here because we're coming up on the 4-year anniversary of that. All right, I'm marking this on tape, even though I won't hear it back for a couple days until I go to edit it. But we have to go to James Island again to try to recreate that photo.
Can we not, though?
Why?
Because I'm still fat.
Oh, stop it. Stop.
You, on the other hand, look fantastic.
I'm not there yet.
Let's recreate the photo later. Not this time.
I at least want to go back.
We can go back, but we're not recreating any photos.
Oh, Jesus. I'm sure some people listening that have been following me on Instagram for a long time that started following you, they're probably wondering how you're doing. I know, you've had an interesting road with your knee. You had an ingrown toenail somewhere in there, and, pneumonia. There's been a whole slew of things. So I guess people are going to wonder, like, what's kind of your update, where you're at, where you've been, where you're at, where you're going, et cetera, et cetera.
Everything that I lost, I gained back, so it's okay. I'll come back stronger. Just taking it a day at a time.
That's what I love about it. It's, I talk about this so often, but everybody's in a hurry for that finish line. And it's like, man, this is a long road. It's like we're on vacation for the next couple of days. Let's see, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, like the next 5 days, 5-6 days. And it's like, so many times I see folks that are like, I'm going to go on vacation. I'm not going to eat a single bad thing. Nothing bad. And it's fine. I mean, everybody should do what's best for you. I'm not here to say you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way. In fact, I'm quite the opposite. I always tell you, do what you want to do what makes sense. But like, one of the things about the way I've dieted, if you can call it that, is I've always kind of just really more portion based instead of content based or food based. Because when I go on vacation, it's like I'm on vacation and I just want to do what I want to do, because I know that at the end of the day I'm going to get back to work. Like, you could vouch for anybody. Like, you've not seen me like just go a week without going to the gym. Like, I always, even like in vacation type times, I still, when we were in Vegas, every single day I went out and walked like 4 miles.
You ran, actually,
I
the
ran
stairs.
and walked. Yeah, I ran the stairs. I wanted to run some of the Las Vegas Strip, but I found myself walking more because there's so many people out there.
Yeah.
It's so crowded. But every single day we were there, and like, I didn't like follow a diet. I was just like, okay, we're on vacation. The food source is not that great. I'm just going to kind of eat what I normally eat. I'm just not going to overdo it, because in the old days, and you could definitely speak to this, we go down to like Charleston. It's like, oh, let's go to this place. Let's just take, what is that? Groucho's, for instance, right? Yeah. The Dipper or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Okay, old Gary is like, all right, let's go here. I eat one. Man, I really want another one. I eat another one. I think one time I even ate 3 of them in one sitting. Okay. Then on the contrary, the current Gary would go down there, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to go get that Dipper, which, by the way, I got to have one while we're here.
It's the Apollo's Dipper.
Apollo Dipper. There you go. Want to give them the proper plug because they're amazing. Gary now is like, all right, I'm just going to go and have one. Like, it's no big deal. I'm going to have my one. I'm going to be satisfied with the one. And I'm going to have my sweet tea with it because that's just what I do. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like,
no.
Like, again, I think do what's right for you. Ultimately, everybody's got their own different thing. And believe me, if you're listening to this and you're just starting, like you're, I don't know, 2 months in, I would lean more on the more stricter side, because really a lot of this is mindset more than anything. And you've really got to retrain your brain. You got to spend months just retraining your brain. And once you do that, the power's in your hands. The power is always in your hands, but I think the mind really is what gets to you. So as you kind of started, what did you kind of notice when you were kind of starting? And then obviously you had some setbacks with your health and stuff. And I guess what was that process like for you?
Well, I came to find out that I am a really bad binge eater. And work is a definite trigger.
Yeah, the stress of work, pretty much?
Yes.
Okay. I'm pretending like I don't know for the people listening. that way I can have you explain it to them, whatever you want to explain.
Yes, the stress is definitely the biggest trigger.
Well, what's an example? Like, let's just say, bad day at work, and then go. What happens?
So most of the time, if it's a bad day at work, I didn't eat all day. So whenever I come home...
Because you're not breaking.
Right.
Okay.
I have 0 breaks during the day. 10-hour shift, no break. No lunch break.
Which technically you're supposed to have one, you just don't take it.
No. So if we wanted a lunch break, we'd have to clock out, which means I wouldn't get my 40 hours.
Okay.
So I'd be down 2 hours.
Okay.
So you eat on the floor whenever you have time.
Okay.
So if I don't have time, I don't eat.
Okay.
So if I don't eat during the day, literally every single junk food in the house is game. And I'm just downing it.
How much though? Like, give me an example. Like, I know what you have, but like, what's an example? Like, so the people they're listening, they know what it does mentally to you.
Right. So yesterday, I came home. I ate a Chewy bar.
Yeah.
Those chocolate coated Chewy bars.
Yes.
Then I had like 3 fruit roll-ups.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
And then
I made dinner.
You made dinner.
And then
I went to sleep. And then I woke up, and then I ate your pizza.
For the record, I woke up. There's a thing, guys, where like I'll buy a pizza and I'll try to eat off of it for a day or two, like. And usually, towards vacations is when I don't want to say slip. I just kind of give myself a little more leeway. I don't view it as slipping. But anyway, so I'll buy a pizza and eat off of it for a day or two, and like. I knew I was waking up at like 2:00 this morning because I had to get ready to start driving. I had already packed. You had not yet, but
no.
You started. You were just waiting on some clothes. But I was like 2 a.m. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna eat something because I was already hungry. Anytime, it's so interesting how like you eat dinner at like 5 or 6 o'clock or whatever the number is, and then you wake up the next day at like 11 or 12, like maybe you slept in and like you're totally fine. But like if you're up, you get hungry. And so I'm like, oh, let me kill off this pizza because I didn't want it to go to waste, obviously. And I knew your sister wasn't going to eat it because she doesn't like all the onions and peppers. I like to put all the peppers and onions on it. Hey, that's vegetables.
That way we don't eat it.
Yeah. You guys are kind of picky eaters. But I went in the fridge this morning and I noticed that the pizza was missing. And I said, I bet it was Holly.
Yeah.
Because she was probably up late, probably hanging out, we'll call it.
Partaking in some festivities.
Baking. And I noticed my pizza was gone. And I'm like, where did my pizza go? And so you're in the shower and I come in and I'm like, I wanted to share this revelation with you because I knew that they had all the peppers on. I'm like, wow, she was that hungry that she ate it with the peppers. And you're like, no, that was me.
At least I was honest. I feel like a lot of
I wasn't even mad, though. I wasn't even mad.
I know, but I feel like a lot of binge eaters will hide it.
Sure. That was me for so many years. Like, I would eat something. Okay, at work. I don't know if I've ever shared this story on the podcast, but at work, when they would cater food in back in the day, not when they do it now, because I have far better self-control, but like 5 or 6 years ago when the company was all in one building and they were catering food in, like, I would go and like smuggle shit like on a plate and like wrap it up like so I could covertly walk it back to my area. I'm not kidding. Or ooh, this was the worst, okay? How many of you guys listening have ever done this? So if you work in an office and somebody has a birthday and they bring a gigantic birthday cake, now you know that one of my weaknesses is like regular, I call it regular ass birthday cake, like in the sense of it's just your plain, it's either yellow cake or it's chocolate cake with the either vanilla frosting or chocolate frosting, just a basic cheap cake. And so a lot of offices, when somebody's birthday, they'll bring one of these in.
Like a sheet cake.
Okay, there you go. You have the proper name. I just call it like regular ass cake. She knows the proper name. And how many of you guys ever did this where like you'd go in the kitchen to like fill up water or something and you knew that nobody was in there? Like you would plan it out like, oh, I haven't seen anybody go in there. And you go like you're filling up your water or getting a drink or whatever, and then like you just like cut this big ass square piece of cake and just shove it down your throat really quickly.
No, I've never done that.
Oh my God.
But there's people at my job that actually do that or stick their fingers in pie instead of using utensils.
I never stuck my finger in the pie, but I will absolutely own up to the fact that I would go back for seconds and thirds. This was a couple of years ago. I want to say it was like 2011, 2012. As I was kind of on my rise to ballooning up. They always say, like, when you're happy in a relationship, you really balloon up, because I gained a lot of weight when we first got together because we'd go on these road trips and stop everywhere to eat.
That's because you would want to stop. Okay, so when we first started dating,
yes,
I did not eat out as much as I did when I got with you.
Okay.
So you would have me stopping at one place.
Right.
Then you'd be hungry literally 2 to 3 hours later. We would stop again.
Yeah.
Not even 2 to 3 hours later. Oh, let's go here. It's a place I haven't been before. Let's go here.
That was part of the thing, too, is like, oh, I've never been to this place, so let's stop here.
And it was a constant stream of Heather eating, and Heather gained 90 pounds. Thanks.
It's my fault now, guys. No, part of the road trip, I think, absolutely is stopping to see the sights. We talked about south of the border earlier. Seeing restaurants that you don't see in Virginia. Like, this is another reason why I don't like Virginia. Everything's the same. Like, it's bad traffic. Everything's the same. Like, you see the same 7-Eleven, McDonald's, Taco Bell, Burger King, and Wendy's on every damn corner.
But you're getting a Zaxby's.
That's what I'm saying. Down here...
No, but you are. Like, in Leesburg.
Eventually.
I don't have that near my job.
Well, I can always bring it to you.
It'd be cold.
Yeah, probably right. But like we'd come down here and there'd be like Hardee's, Bojangles, Sonic, Zaxby's, like all these places that I've not been to. And I'm sure there, we've got listeners from all over the country who have these places probably readily available. When we were in Vegas, it was the same thing. They had like Del Taco, which was really good. In-N-Out Burger. God, stop it. Okay. Shake Shack. Well, we have those. Like, I'm looking here at this exit 157, Bojangles.
We didn't used to have Shake Shack.
No, you're right. I'm looking here as we're driving down the highway. I just saw a Bojangles sign. Down here, you had Cookout. so many different places. So there was always that appeal of, man, I really want to stop here. I really want to try this out. And so that's what would happen. It would be like, oh, God, we got to stop. Then there was that one time we went on a road trip for 3 hours just to eat at a Bojangles.
Yeah, and then realizing that there was one literally 30 minutes from the house.
Yeah. But it was in Maryland. That's not such a great part of town.
No, but neither is Petersburg, Virginia.
All right, fair. But...
Mind you, this is outside of Richmond in the ghetto.
I don't know.
We went to. When we could have just went to the ghetto of Oxon Hill.
I don't know. I think I'll take Petersburg over Oxon Hill.
I know Oxon Hill. Ain't nobody gonna mess with me in there.
So favorite trips you talked about seeing your family for Kelly's wedding. My favorite trip, undisputedly, hands down, was the proposal.
That was a good trip.
We should talk about that.
I was also sick during that trip.
You were.
I had a sinus. We both had a sinus infection.
That's right.
And you're like, let's go to the beach. And I'm like, fuck going to the beach. I'm sick. I just want to stay here. And then, of course, I see you put the ring box in your cargo pants. You're like, let's go. I'm like, fuck. Now I have to get a dress on. Because this asshole has to do it today.
It had to be that day.
Ugh.
Okay, for those of you guys that listen to this podcast, you propose to your girl, okay? You know that it's time to do it. You're ready to do it. You want to get it over with. Not that you want it to be over because you don't want to do it, but you want it to be over because you're so nervous. You've got all this anxiety. And, that's where my mind was. I was just like, geez, like, I gotta do this thing. It's got to be done because I want to. My anxiety is taking over, and so we've got everybody. We've got your dad. We've got Kelly and Ryan. And
it didn't help that both of them started filming like almost immediately when we got to the freaking beach. I'm like, so not only did I see the box go into his pocket, but then everyone started using their cameras, and I'm like, great. This is fantastic. I look like shit and I'm getting proposed to. And it wasn't even so much that I was excited anymore. It was, I don't feel good and this is not the day.
You want to redo?
I want to redo. It was a beautiful ring and you said very sweet things.
Do you remember what I said? I don't even remember.
You talked about us first going down there and then being in the water, and you said eventually you will do it.
That's
that
right.
Being proposed to.
That was maybe the second trip.
Mm-hmm.
We were in the beach, or I'm saying in the beach. We were in the water, and I guess I was just so caught up in how beautiful you are.
No, thanks.
And
I wasn't fat.
Stop it. Getting caught up in how beautiful you are, and I just, I think ultimately sometimes we hold back on things we want to say because there's always like that preconceived notion of, oh, it's too soon to say this or it's too soon to say that. But like, I knew, like at that time, even at that time, I knew. But
see, at that point, we weren't even officially together. You wouldn't call me your girlfriend. You just said we were dating, and I literally wanted to kick you.
Well, okay.
You and labels are just, you hate them so much.
It's not that I hated them. It's that I know, obviously for people that are, well, whether you're new or you're not, I've been down this road before and I screwed up most of that, okay? And so I'm very hesitant because I don't want to screw anything up. And I have this fear that I'm going to ruin this like I ruined so many other things. There's always this thing where it's like I unintentionally burn the bridge to the ground, or I unintentionally,
But
I don't mean to do it, but I do it.
You know that it's happening. You know that the bridge is like shaking.
Yes.
You're like, I'm going to keep going just because. And then the bridge just burns to the fucking ground.
It does.
Because you just won't stop.
This is true. But I think you'd have to say I've gotten a lot better.
You have gotten better. It takes you a little bit longer to realize that you're doing it.
this year in particular, with the whole weight loss, it's opened my eyes up about a lot of things, and I've been open telling people on this podcast before, like, a lot of these people should be glad they didn't know me 3 or 4 years ago, because it's definitely not the same person. And it's not like I've changed and I'm running from the past. Like I'm open about it. I'm like, look, I used to, be a fuck up, right? I mean, like I used to not be perfect. And yes, I wasn't great with labels and all this stuff. And yes, the proposal was botched because you saw the ring, even though I didn't think you saw it, but you saw it. And then people started pulling out phones. But that wasn't on me. That's on them.
Yes, that's true. So I don't blame you.
Yeah.
But I blame you for putting the ring box in your pants.
Yeah.
As you're standing in the doorway, let's go! And I haven't even gotten off the couch yet, and I'm looking at you.
I thought maybe you thought I was putting like a charger in my pants or something.
Why the hell would you have a charger going to the beach when your phone was charging all day?
Well, I don't know. I carry one around a lot. I mean, not all the time, but a lot of, especially back then.
Oh my god, it made me laugh so hard. I was just like, oh my god, I'm so embarrassed right now.
But like, isn't that like a me thing to do though?
That is a thing.
I mean, it's authentic at least, right?
I would not expect anything less.
At least I didn't have you at like some fancy restaurant with champagne and all this like fancy garbage.
That would be nice.
Well, of course, but this is not television. This is real life.
We'll make it happen.
Maybe for the do-over.
Or we just pick a day randomly and go to these restaurants. Go to different restaurants.
And tell them we're getting married.
Tell them that we just got
Probably
engaged.
get free dinner that way.
Well, I'm not worried about the dinner portion.
Wow. Well, they're fancy expensive, so
yeah.
Maybe we can get something
give
free.
Us something free.
What was your thought on me doing it down here instead of at home? What was your thought about that?
I liked it. Charleston means something to us. It was our first vacation together.
Yeah. I think that's why I'm so hard pressed to want to move. Not just for that reason, but because I legitimately like the area. Like, I know, I've read a lot of the forums online, the Reddits. People always say, oh yeah, it's getting crowded down here too. Because in our area, it's very crowded. There's a lot
overpopulated.
Yes. And I know you can't always run from it. Like, unless you're like literally sitting in the woods somewhere, you can't get away from it.
Like where we're driving through now.
Yes. But think about it like this, okay? I mean, when you're like putting all the pros and cons like on a list, like you got a big list, a line down the middle, pros, cons. Like, even if it got nearly as bad as it is at home, you still got a beach like 15, 20 minutes away.
Be 30 minutes from the beach rather than 3.5 hours, and Ocean City beaches suck.
Ocean City's better than Virginia Beach, though.
No.
Yes.
Well, I feel like Virginia Beach is the place couples go to break up.
Why is that?
Because my dad broke up with his girlfriend down there.
Wow.
And there's just a couple other people that have had that happen to them. I'm like, that's a cursed beach. Never go there.
No.
I think we even had a fight down there.
We did.
It was right after the aquarium.
But we were good at Ocean City.
We were good, but
See?
I fucking hate their sand. There's like shells all over it.
We do.
You like it because you like it rubbing against your feet. I hate it because I have sensitive feet.
Yeah, I got rough feet. But I always like Ocean City. Again, it's that vibe, the sounds,
I'm fine with
look.
the boardwalk, but
Yeah,
if you're
I love
trying to
the
get me to
boardwalk.
go in the water, it's not going to happen.
All right, well, we'll just go for the boardwalk then.
I mean,
We got to take like a Saturday and just drive there for a few hours.
It's a dip.
But I think even if Charleston got overpopulated again, we're right next to the beach. Everybody I've ever encountered, other than one or two crappy drivers, that like that one lady in the black Jetta or whatever that like cut us off that one time. Other than that, like for the most part, there's a lot more pros about that. Like the people are cool. It's much cheaper to live down there. And like if this t-shirt business really takes off, like I think it has the potential to, I mean, we could comfortably live down there and be just fine.
Well, I already have a job lined up. We're just waiting on you now.
I'm working on it.
You're not working on anything. You like your job.
No, I do. Look, I love the company I work for. I love, it's the field of marketing. I don't go into specifics because it's just a lot of the stuff we do is very, proprietary, and I don't want to get into it. But It's a marketing company. It's a great team of people. It's a great job. I mean, it's really awesome. I mean, if they had this job in South Carolina, that's the kind of job where I would leave town to move for that job. But, at some point, quality of life kicks in and you're like, all right, how good can the job be? How good can the money be before you're like, I just want to live, man. So I'm at this point, I'm just like, all right, yes, it's a great job. I love the people I work with. It's stable. I love it. And so obviously I want to hold on to it as long as I can. But at the same time, if we're being honest, eventually the goal, 5-10 years, I would love to be down here hitting the reset button, because I think both of us have had so much stuff in our lives that have happened. It's like, who wouldn't love to start over?
It's true.
So that's what I think about, and it's always attractive to me to come here. It's like, I've thought about other places in the country. I'm like, oh yeah, it'd be cool to live in Florida or California, like all these destination places.
Never live in Florida. I'm sorry for the people who live there.
I mean, but when you think about it, like just on a general, like forget you ever been there. Like when you hear people talk about it, when you think of all the stuff,
I think of old people and hardcore Republicans, and I'm not about that life.
I just think of the amusement parks, Disneyland, Universal. I think about the first trip my mom and dad took me to in Cocoa Beach in '91. That was awesome. Excuse me. So there's always a connection there with Florida, but not strong enough because we only went there once. And then I remember I was going to help my friend's dad move, and we were down by Cocoa Beach, and I went down there again, and it was pretty wild to be there. It was like this really cool experience going back. But South Carolina, when I think about like places that I would actually consider leaving everything for, this is the one place that sticks out of my mind. We know people down here. The people we've interacted with are cool. Just the vibe of the city. Everybody's so awesome. So it's like, what's not to love at this point?
And Darius Rucker's down here, like
Darius Rucker, like
today.
And the fact of the matter is, it's like you'll read these articles online that like he shows up at some random ass bar in like Mount Pleasant and just like starts playing for people and taking pictures.
That's
like,
amazing.
Yes, like who wouldn't want to be like hanging out with Hootie?
I mean, I'd love to hang out with Hootie.
Yes.
And not Hulk Hogan.
No, but
Hootie like Darius Rucker.
Yeah. No, I think that would be just so freaking awesome. So one of these days we're going to get here, but until then, it's like I really enjoy the times that we spend coming down here, just kind of how it takes a load off. I'm actually hoping to do some jogging on the beach. If everything works out correctly, the next podcast you guys hear, which will be next week, will be me sitting on the beach. I want to do a full podcast sitting on the beach, looking at the ocean in front of me, because ultimately, I don't know how many of you guys listening out there, but the beach is really, it's my happy place. And, obviously I can function as an adult, as a human being for most of the year, because I only come down here 2, maybe 3 times a year. But part of that is also because, we have pools, and maybe most of it is water that I like, that I associate with, but the beach in particular is really, for me, where it's at. I mean, what does the beach do for you? Do you have kind of the connection I have with it, or is it more or less, or where are you at with the beach thing?
I love the beach. I am a Cancer, so Cancers love water. You, on the other hand, are a Virgo, and that doesn't make any sense.
Why? What is Virgos like?
I think they're land.
Land?
Yeah, I think.
Well, I do like the country.
I do not.
I mean, like you talk.
Too many bugs, too many Deliverance references, and I'm not about it.
Okay, fair enough. But listening back to my podcast with my cousin Nick, which is probably like 20 episodes ago, go find it in the archives, folks. Gary'sPodcast.com. We talked about the place we grew up, Indian Acres, which I got to get you on that property sometime, just so you could see it. I would love for you to see it. Like, I would almost love to go down there, because they'll let you take like tours. I would almost love to go down there on like a Saturday and just like show you around, just show you like, hey, this is that. See what it looks like now that I've been out of there for, I mean, I've not been on the Indian Acres property since 2006 was the last time I went on that property before my parents had to sell it. So I would love to go back down there and show you that, because it's like, it's in the woods, but it's just, I can't explain it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It really is. So looking at the map right now, it says we're an hour and a half away. It says we have another 52 miles until we get on our next turn. It's weird looking at this GPS, because it's like, it shows you these alternate routes and it's like 11 minutes slower. And I'm like, why would you even present that as an option? Like, unless there's like road work reported up ahead, like, why would you even present this option that takes me 11 minutes longer to get to where I want to go? It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I don't get that. Heather's playing on her phone. That's where the yas come from.
My doctor is trying to change my prescription, so I need to give her the new phone number for the pharmacy.
In other words, you need me to cover your ass for a few minutes while you type.
No, I'm typing and talking at the same time.
As you hold the mic like 3 feet from your face.
Ah.
So we're coming down here for Memorial Day weekend. That's I hate to take away the mystique of like when it's recorded, because so many of the other podcasts are not timely necessarily. It's just like, hey, we're talking on a microphone. This one's like, we're coming out from Memorial Day. So like when this comes out a few days after, it's like, oh, hey. But this is kind of different. I love this because we have this little setup, this little get up here in the car. And you remember when I used to do radio and podcasts and all that stuff, like I was tied to this desk. And I know that a lot of times it took away, and I got better at it because years ago, before you came around, when I was doing my first radio show, like nobody else got any of my time. When I did the second version of the show, I was a little bit better about it, but now it's like we can really just take this thing wherever, whenever. It's like a portable setup, and I want to tell you guys about it. So if you were to go to if you guys are like techies, or you're ever thinking about wanting to do a podcast, if you were to go to kit.com/Gary Cantrell, it's got a list of all the gear I use, and so you could get an idea of the kind of stuff you would need to do it. And the same thing goes for my YouTube. It's got a kit, like it shows you the exact stuff that I use to create the content. So, and that's not a plug or anything like that.
Oh, it's a plug.
No, it's not. It's really not, because it's literally just a link to products that I'm not selling. Now, me telling the listeners, go to hardworkalwayswins.com and use the code SQUAD to take 10% off your order to buy some cool swag. That is a plug.
That is a plug. Well, that's a good plug.
That's a damn good plug.
We make good shit. There's some Bella Canvas shirts, and they're soft. You can sleep in them. You can run in them. They feel fabulous.
That was like the funniest promo I think I've ever heard. I need to chop that up and add music to it, I think. What do you think about that whole thing? Because, you know, we're collaborating on it now, but like when I first started it, what was your thoughts on that whole thing?
I thought you were crazy.
That's usually how most of my projects start, because
here's the thing. Gary likes to start projects.
Yes. I know where you're going with this.
Halfway through, Gary's like, I'm burned out. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm like, okay. So this is going to be another thing that we spend hundreds of dollars on, and then he just stops.
This is all true.
But no, he's kept it going, and it's been, what, a year?
Almost.
Almost a year? I thought it's been more than that.
For the store or for my weight loss journey?
Store.
Oh, no, it's not been a year yet. But, no, I know what you mean. I mean, it's...
And I'm not trying to discredit you. You
No,
have a lot of good ideas.
I'll own up to that.
But you don't utilize your time wisely. You have these ideas, but you don't know where to go.
This
and
is
then
true.
I think because you don't know where to go, you just stop.
This is true. Or I run into a roadblock.
Right.
It kind of discourages me. I took this on because I knew this was something that I couldn't mess up. It's literally my name is on the line. So like it was kind of the incentive to keep going. You know, when I started the weight loss journey and when I made it public, it's like my name's on this. Like a lot of people on Instagram, they have different names like weight loss loser or something, you know, like
something with fit in it.
Fit, weight loss. I literally put my name on it because that's how serious I was to myself that, hey, I'm going to do this. And if I quit, everybody's going to know this is Gary. This is his name's on it. We know what the deal is. Wow, we almost got up to 40 miles to the gallon on our average.
You go, Hyundai.
We're killing it. But I knew that I had to put my name on it. And it couldn't fail because if it failed, then that means I'm a failure. The other things I could kind of brush under the rug, like on the podcast a few weeks ago, I talked about my wrestling informant website that crashed and burned.
Yeah.
Talked a little bit about my old radio show, The Shoot, which crashed and burned.
That was successful.
It lasted a while. It really did.
But I think you got tired of doing it, one, by yourself, two, with co-hosts that, one, wouldn't show up.
Yeah.
So you'd be doing
Diamond
it by
K.
yourself.
Diamond K.
Sometimes Alan.
Sometimes Alan, yeah.
Or he'd show up later, like, what's up, Gary?
Chris was at least good. Like, he
Chris
would tell me,
up.
like, well, he showed up, but like, if he couldn't, like, in a rare week, he would let me know, like, days in advance.
Exactly.
Chris is so proper.
He's very proper.
All right, Chris, you're the plug of the day. At Chris McManamy on Instagram. He barely uses it. He should use it more. I know he's a Snapchat guy. I doubt he even hears this.
Isn't he supposed to be a social media consultant or something? Like, why isn't he on there? Why aren't you on there?
No, he is on there. He just doesn't use it.
I know.
He's a Snapchat guy.
Do.
He probably isn't even going to hear this.
Just in case.
Just in case. Chris McManamy, the plug of the day. There you go. But no, he was always good. He would give me a few days notice, or like when we were going to Charleston, more specifically right before I proposed to you, you know, we were good about it. Like, I'd let him know, you know, we talk about it days in advance, and then it was fine. Like, we'd either have a best up queued up, or we'd have something.
Record something quick and then air it that Sunday or whatever.
Yeah, we had like the Barter Kings that one time. We had, I did Joe Piscopo. By the way, that's one interview I want to put on this podcast. Like, I am so far against like putting old stuff on this podcast. I want it to be all new, but that's like one interview. I did a lot of interviews that I'm proud of. Unfortunately, a lot of them were with wrestlers, and I don't think they translate to this audience. But the Joe Piscopo one, that was like one of my favorite interviews I ever did. And I think that if I were to ever repurpose one interview, it would be that one. And so there's going to come a time where maybe you and I have something going on and I don't have a podcast that week, and I'm just going to put Joe in there.
I mean, that was a good interview. Plus, we got things out of it, so that's fine.
Jeez, Heather. Easy there, killer.
We got to rub elbows with mobsters and Republican senators. Mobsters. We went to the Italian gala.
Oh, yeah, the Italian heritage.
We're not even Italian, by the way.
Joe, I saw him on Twitter. I'm like, hey, Joe, I see you're going to be in D.C., man. You want to meet up? Because he told me on the podcast, dude, let's meet up, man. Come on, let's meet up. And I'm like, all right, fine. I'm going to take him up on it. And he's like, yo, Gary, man, I'm going to be here in D.C. at this Italian Heritage Gala. Like, I'll hook you and Heather up with some tickets. And so we get some tickets and we go. And it's at the Ronald Reagan building in D.C., which is a really nice building. Anybody that's listening locally, maybe you know it, maybe you've been there, maybe you've not, I don't know. And Joe's there, and like the fanboy that I am, all I want to do is talk about sidekicks with him.
That was literally all he talked about. He was like, I gotta go host this thing. Bye.
I feel like a lot of you guys listening may not even know this movie. It was Chuck Norris, Jonathan Brandis, and Joe Piscopo. We talked about it in the interview, which you'll hear probably in a few weeks or a month or whatever when I finally have time to put it up. But yeah, so Jersey Joe Piscopo. We finally meet him. We take pictures, which is on the Instagram somewhere. But I'll just end up reposting it when I post the podcast. I I just thought that was the coolest thing. Like, he invited us to this thing.
We got to eat and we got free drinks.
We got to eat free drinks. Back then, Gary was like, all hands on deck. I'm eating everything, cuz. I'm eating everything.
I was more worried about the free alcohol.
The free alcohol was good.
That was good stuff.
You had a lot of cleavage in your dress.
There was a lot of cleavage.
A lot of cleavage. I think Joe was like, damn, girl. I think Joe was like, damn.
I had some Spanx on. It was pushing them up. They look great.
There you go.
Good stuff.
We always look great. So we were talking to Joe. I was talking to Joe about Chuck Norris and sidekicks, like the fanboy that I am. And then he's like, I gotta go. And we saw him later. We said goodbye to him. He had like 30 of his children there.
There was a lot of children.
There was a lot of kids there. Joe Piscopo is an active gentleman. He's had like 3 or 4 marriages, I think. I'm not saying this to disparage him. I've been 2 now, but
well, he takes care of his kids. I'll give him credit.
He does take care of his kids. He's
and
a good man.
Life,
I see him on the Facebook all the time. We're friends on Facebook, and he's taking care of his family. He's a good man. That Joe Piscopo.
That's your second plug today.
Huh?
That's your second plug today.
What?
You said there was only going to be one plug.
What else did I plug?
Chris McManamy.
Oh, I plugged it. Yeah.
And now Joe Piscopo.
Oh, there you go.
It's just going to be a plugging kind of day.
No, it's not. I promise. I promise it's not going to be a plug day. You have my word. And again, the plug is like the website, thehardworkalwayswins.com. Squad on the coupon code will get you 10% off. Can you believe that?
Yeah, we have some tank tops. They're
Yeah, we need more of Heather reading. She's doing an ad, but she's not reading it from anywhere. She's just doing this all on the fly.
This is all improv, folks. All improv.
Boy, you're such a natural. People are going to listen to this podcast, and they're going to be like, damn, why isn't like Heather doing a podcast?
Or why doesn't Heather talk in her Instagram?
That too. What is that all about?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No. It was just an ongoing gimmick.
That is true.
We'll keep going.
Oh, you mean on my Instagram?
Yeah.
Well, you don't even talk on your own, though.
No.
Are you like, as the wrestling term, are you kayfabing it across from my Instagram to yours? Is that what you're doing?
It's like Penn and Teller. I just don't talk.
Until now.
Until now. But you can't see my face, so do you really know it's me?
Yes, because I have another woman in the car.
They don't know that.
Well, that's true. But you would know an awful lot about me if it wasn't really you.
I mean, what if the person on the Instagram is just a face? What if I'm the real person?
Now you got people freaked out. They're thinking that like you're a catfish.
There's an alias.
Neve Schulman's going to come up here and start calling people up.
I haven't catfished anybody.
Max Joseph with his gray ass hair.
I haven't catfished anybody since the days of Yahoo Messenger.
Oh my God.
When
What's that all about?
Old men would ask me for dirty pictures and I'd go on Google.
Did you send them like really good ones or did you make them kind of shitty?
I made them they were like low quality, so they had to be low quality in order for me to send them.
Yeah, but back in those days, everything was low quality. Like, it's not like you had like HD, 4K
it wasn't like
porn.
It was like from a porn.
Right.
Like, it wasn't like a porn photo shoot.
Right.
It was like it was like a homemade photo.
Okay.
That was taken.
And so you just sent that to
that.
Did they know it was fake? Did any of them think it was fake? No.
Because I would talk to them.
Oh my God.
And then I would show my friends because we would laugh about it.
God, this podcast has gone way off the rails for the record. Good Lord. I was like, man, let's get you on the podcast. This will be great. Now you got random guys like looking at fake photos on the internet thinking it's you on Yahoo Messenger.
It's
good Lord.
Great. It's good stuff.
Oh
so
my
much good stuff.
God. You're too much.
Sometimes.
Oh my goodness. Where are we? Jesus Christ. We need to change the subject.
We're almost at 26.
We're almost at 26. There's an Exxon sign. Looks like it's about to fall down. Now, see, when we had that big storm and the Potomac Mill sign was...
That's what the Potomac Mill sign looked like.
Okay, but they didn't close this highway down.
That's because this is the South and they don't care.
They don't care.
Who's over there? Nobody? That's fine.
Good luck, everybody else.
Right. Good luck, everybody else.
Bonus points if you guys are listening and know that reference.
You better fucking know that reference.
Jesus. You are feisty today. That's what a little bit of sleep will do for you.
And a swollen knee.
Yeah. So where are we at with your knee right now? Because you got the surgery in December, right before, like a week before January, maybe less.
So I'll be 6 months in July.
Okay.
Post-op.
And how are you feeling? The people want to know.
It sucks, especially if I'm on it too long.
Yeah, I could imagine that.
The swelling's the worst part right now. Trying to get that under control.
I remember when I would have my gout attacks, and obviously it's a different kind of injury to the knee. It's not really an injury, it's more like a condition, but like that would almost like incapacitate me. Like it was hard to like get in and out of cars. Like we would have to push your seat like all the way back in your car, and it still wasn't enough.
Nope.
Because when you have gout, for those that don't know, it's like crystal, like glass shards on your joints. And so like the slightest bit of movement will agitate it. Hell, standing still in many ways will agitate it. And so it's extremely, extremely difficult to deal with. You've never dealt with gout, have you?
No.
Okay.
But I did walk on this torn ACL for 5 months prior to having surgery.
You did, including Vegas.
Including Vegas.
Which we walked like 20,000 steps a day. I hope you realize that.
Oh, my knee felt it. No, it did.
But there was a hot tub in that room.
You mean a sinking tub?
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Which
Or a
we only
jacuzzi?
used once because there was too many bubbles and it overflowed.
Hey, that was all you.
That was all me.
We went to the mall across the street from Caesars. Well, it was like a block down. It was like Planet Hollywood, right? There was like a mall in
we
there.
actually went to the mall in Caesar's Palace.
No, but that's not where you got the bubbles.
Yes, it was.
No, you got it from the other mall.
No. Because remember, we looked at Walgreens. Walgreens didn't have bubble baths, so we were like, let's go walk around the mall in Caesars.
No, I know we did that. I remember going around there, but there was the mall with the fight shop, remember? And you went and bought this like bomb.
No, I didn't buy a bomb.
A bath bomb.
Nope, I was going to.
Yeah.
Remember, she was like trying to get us to try all these hand soaps and
Okay.
scrubs. And
Yeah.
I was like, I'll come back. And I never came back.
So you paid like double the price at Caesars?
Yeah.
Caesars, by the way, that's the biggest work on planet Earth right there. It's the biggest gimmick. Now look, I like the place. I really do. The room was extremely comfortable. Everything about it was nice. The pool was, oh God, I love the pool. I'm a big, we talk about water and the visual. It's all the visual, the Roman. Also, WrestleMania 9 was held at Caesar's Palace. So there's like, I'm serious.
That's the only reason why we stayed there, probably.
Stop it. No. Okay, maybe. That's also the reason why we'd always stay at Trump Plaza in Atlantic City, because WrestleMania 4 and 5
Always?
were there.
I only went up there once.
Well, I went up there with Andrew.
Yeah.
Richie Drake. Ooh, kayfabe. Richie Drake. Sorry. He doesn't listen.
No.
It's fine.
He probably will, though.
But yes, but the look of it, the comfortability of the bed was really comfortable. It was just really nice there. So I really liked it. And I forgot where I was going with it. Oh yeah, the prices. So you go downstairs to like the gift shop, like, oh, I'm going to go get a bottle of water. It's like $3. Like I was
but
getting.
I feel like that's not different than any other place.
Okay, well, no, fair enough. But I mean, once you're like in their resort, is what I mean.
Right.
Like
Because
when
then
you go
you
to
have sales tax and then their resort fees on top of it.
Yes. Once you go to the Walgreens across the street, the price is a lot different.
Yes.
Like, for instance, I wanted to get my drink on. It was my birthday weekend while we were there. And the only refrigerator in the room at Caesars is their refrigerator, which is inventory controlled. If a bottle moves, they know about it. They'll think that you took one out. They'll charge your bill to your room. So I remember taking like 6 bags and like filling them up with ice and keeping it in the sink. Well, because there was 2 sinks.
Yeah.
There were 2 sinks at Caesars and in the bathroom. And I was like, oh, well, sweet. One sink is our cooler. And so I put all my beer there, my Coors Light, my Miller Lite, whatever I was drinking. All of it would go in the sink in a bag with ice.
Yeah.
And that included other drinks, too. I mean, we had, you know...
We bought a thing of bottled water.
We did. Speaking of which, I think my tea is probably, like, lukewarm now. What do you think?
Yeah, but you have your water in your handy-dandy insulated water bottle.
That's true. Maybe I'll just...
Made by Under Armour.
Yeah, it's not Adidas. I need an Adidas bottle. I need to keep up with the brand that I support. It's starting to rain now, in case you guys hear that on the podcast.
Yeah, it's really loud.
It is really loud, but...
And can't see shit.
Kudos to Opie Radio. He's got his new podcast. I love it. We were listening to it this morning on the way, and...
Gary was.
She was sleeping. And so... he was talking about how people love noises on podcasts. So, Opie, this one's for you. There you go. Podcast noises, folks. So, Caesars was a lot of fun, though. I liked it. It was fun.
It was.
Cool vibe, but everything's expensive. They did have, like, a sale on one of the beers. I remember it was, like, some cheap-ass, like, I don't know if it was, like, some Natty Ice or Natty Light. Like one of those tall cans, like a 16-ounce or whatever, 24-ounce, where it's like $2.50 a can, which really isn't that cheap, but like it seemed like a deal compared to the other ones that were like $5.
Yeah, something like that.
And so I bought a few of those when I was desperate. And then there was like one night where we got back, I think it was after the Mayweather-McGregor fight, which we did not see in person. We were at the theater across the street. But point is, we were up late. We were still hungry. I think we got dinner before then, but we were still hungry. And so we went to the burger place downstairs.
Yeah.
And those burgers were expensive. And you didn't get much.
Expensive, but they had the best fucking fries.
Really?
They were rosemary fries.
You liked it better than In-N-Out?
I love me some rosemary fries.
Did we go to Jack in the Box while we were there?
No.
They do have them there. I don't know why. Maybe because it was off strip.
Yeah.
That's why. Okay. But that trip as a whole was kind of cool. I ran into Casey Neistat while I told the story on the podcast before, but we kind of get your thoughts on some of the other stuff.
I wasn't around for that.
Well, you weren't around for that. You were like gambling. I think you lost like $30 or something.
I was using my cash vouchers that I got.
Yeah. I believe you were. But yeah, I was at the front desk. I was trying to get a new rewards card, I believe.
Yes, because you left yours at home.
Yeah, I left mine at home, and this guy walks up. He's like, "Hey, man, is this where you check in?" And I turn around, and it's Casey fucking Neistat. I'm like, "Oh my God, you're Casey Neistat." And I'm like, yes, this is the place where you check in. By the way, I watch you every day. Can we take a picture? He's like, "Sure, but you better let me take it because I'm really good at this." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, no problem, Mr. Casey Neistat."
You said it like that was kind of creepy.
What?
I watch you every day.
He does a vlog. He gets it.
I know that, but
I'm sure he got
weird.
it.
He doesn't know if you're a stalker or not. Got a pair of binoculars or something. I don't know.
Jesus, I didn't even know he was in town because a lot of his vlogs are like a few days apart, and so like that one in particular, he didn't release until like 2 weeks later. So like anywhere he's at on a given time, you don't really know. But then maybe you should tell the people about the other person that I met that I didn't even know I was meeting.
So we had just placed bets downstairs at the betting area.
We're betting
on Conor McGregor.
Yes.
You know, it was an underdog fight for him, so we were like, you know what, let's put some money on him.
I think I put 100. What did you put?
I put 80, I think.
Okay, but then
it was 20 less than you.
But I think your dad also, so like you had to cover some for him because he wasn't there, but he wanted to bet.
He wanted 50, so we just placed some bets, and we were talking about it on our way back to the room to get ready.
Yes, and I had my McGregor Boxing Club shirt on.
You did that you just got.
Yes.
So as we're walking, some guy in a suit who was very, very tall.
Right, and by the way, I should just say for context, we had just gotten back from the weigh-ins. We attended the public weigh-ins.
It was the weigh-in.
Free tickets. I was so excited to go.
Were we going to Brittany that night?
No, Brittany was the next night.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going back to the room, and this very tall gentleman in a suit. This was what, 9, 10 o'clock?
Maybe
it was a little bit later than that, actually.
It felt like it was later too, but that could have just been our mind because, you know,
I don't know. Vegas is weird. You lose all concept of time.
Yeah, it felt late. It felt like it could have been 2:00 in the morning, but I know it wasn't that late.
I think it was that late though. So it had to have been after the Britney fight or the Britney.
Maybe it was. Maybe
So,
we went to the That's right. We went to the weigh-ins because it was in the afternoon. Then we went to Brittany.
Mm-hmm.
We walked around that mall.
Yes, and then we went back to our room.
Yes, but we placed bets and then we. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
So this guy is like talking to Gary. He's like, "You guys are awesome for placing a bet on him. He's the underdog." Just going on and on and on about McGregor.
Yeah.
And as he's talking to Gary, I'm looking at him, and I'm like, I know who the hell this is. This is Calvin Harris. Yes. And Gary had no idea the entire time that he was talking to Calvin Harris, and I'm just starstruck.
Now, hold on a second, because what I should also note is that I dig his music. I'm not saying that, like, I'm a huge fan where I know all the ins and outs like some of these other groups, but, you know, like Sweet Nothing, and so what's some of his other songs?
I don't know them by name. I know them by the beat of the music.
Yeah. Well, Sweet Nothing, that's the one I remember all. Sweet Nothing. That's a good one. Anyway, so I'm a fan of his music. So, like, it's not like if I knew who he was, I would have marked
I've never seen a picture of it.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to say. So I've never seen him because a lot of these, like, DJ guys, unless it's like Pauly D. I mean, obviously you know Pauly D, but
like,
or
Daft
even
Punk. Does anyone know what he looks like?
Right.
I don't.
Or Zed, because he looks like this, like, little man.
Right. And who's the guy with the head, the weird, like...
Dead Mouse.
Dead Mouse.
Yeah.
Nobody knows who he looks like either.
Right. So Calvin Harris, never seen him a day in my life. Anyway, go ahead.
So he's like, okay, guys, have a great night. And he's like, pats him on the back. And we start walking.
I thought we high-fived.
Something. I don't remember.
Okay. Whatever. Yeah.
We start walking away. And I'm like, do you know who that was? And you're like, no. Just some random guy. I was like, that's Calvin Harris. And you're like, what the fuck? He was like, started freaking out. He was like, oh my God, I just met Calvin Harris.
Yeah.
No idea.
Trying to explain that story to people and the ass that I must have come across, like, because I just didn't even know.
Or he appreciated you not fanboying.
He probably did, yeah, because he probably gets that a lot. So then, like, because remember at first I didn't believe you. So the next morning I'm on Instagram, like, looking up the location of the club that he was playing at that night. And sure enough, the guy had the exact same, like, suit on.
Suit. And he was performing at the, was it Ona?
Yeah.
Nightclub in Caesar's Palace.
Yeah, so he was already there on purpose.
So it was definitely him.
Wow. What a story.
I still don't think you believe that you talked to him.
It's just weird. It's just it's just so bizarre, I guess. I don't know. You just don't expect it. And I had told you before we left, I'm like, watch. Something's going to happen. We're going to run into somebody. And, like, in my mind, I had selfishly thought, like, watch us, like, run into Connor. Like, he'll be, like, running somewhere and, like, somehow we'll stumble on him. Like, how cool would it be to get a selfie with Conor McGregor?
Yeah.
But instead, I met two people, and they were just... And that's when when it happens at the best. It's not paying for a meet and greet, which is fun, by the way. But it's very different in the sense of you're not expecting to meet these people. They just come up to you, or you pass them by and you're like, holy shit, that's such and such.
Or they catch you off guard.
They catch you off guard. It was just like I was in Hollywood one time, and I was in the car with some people, and I was on Sunset Boulevard. We were leaving Sunset Boulevard. We were leaving the Sunset Strip and all that, whatever it is. And on a side road, there's this guy in an SUV. He's got, like, cameras on his windshield. I don't realize what's going on. There's this guy in a black SUV hanging a left onto Sunset Boulevard. I'm looking straight. He's to my right. And one of the people in the car says, holy shit, that's Gene Simmons. And I'm like, oh my God, that is Gene Simmons. Whoa. Hi, I'm Gene Simmons. Like, it's Gene Simmons. That's a really terrible Gene Simmons impersonation. Yeah, I know. I don't know what I was thinking, but I think years ago I could do a halfway decent Gene Simmons, just not this time. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So yeah, so the best times happen when you least expect it. Like, how cool would it be, whether in a couple years when we live down here, or just coming down here on a vacation, how cool would it be to run into Darius?
That would be amazing.
Right? So I would love that. Like, and I'm not expecting that to happen. I'm never coming down here with the intent for that. Because like sometimes you see these like funny little documentaries of people like going to places like, I'm on a mission to meet this person. Nothing like that. I think it's the best when you don't even expect it.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that. We're passing Santee, South Carolina, exit 98. I remember stopping here with my mom and my dad on our way to Florida. And I think this is actually where we stopped on the way back as well, because it was kind of like a halfway point between Cocoa Beach and what are you pointing out? What?
The fact that there's a Jesus Saves billboard right in front of a adult store.
Fantasyland.
Look at that.
But yeah, we stayed here before. I always remember this exit every time I pass it, because my mom and my dad, they took me to Cocoa Beach, and it was like halfway point, or like it was dark by the time we reached this point when we were driving, so that's where we stopped. I'm glad you brought up the Fantasyland, because now it gives us a chance to share the story about the place we stopped at in North Carolina.
That's no longer there.
That's no longer there. So I would love for the listeners, they hear me tell stories so often, and since this is a fun occasion to have you on the podcast, I would love for you to recount the time that we stopped at this place off the highway. What happened?
All right. So this is a place that we've driven by several times before.
Yes.
And this was a moment where me and Gary were just by ourselves.
Correct.
And so we were like, you know what? Let's just look at this place.
Right.
We got time. It's not like we have to be anywhere.
And there were billboards for this place, right?
All the way from the beginning of North Carolina to exit 77.
Yes.
So if you've ever been in North Carolina on 95, you know there's a place that used to be called Cafe Risque. And we just thought it was like an adult store attached to a strip club.
Right.
So we just assumed that we would go into the adult store portion of it.
And I should quickly add that the whole reason that we would even want to stop at an adult store is the fact that, like, this place had so many goddamn billboards. I mean, so many billboards.
Right.
That it was just impossible not to stop. We're like...
It was like a tourist trap.
Yes, exactly.
Essentially. So we drive off. We go into their parking lot. It's deserted. It looks like we're going to get murdered.
Yes.
So it's run down. There's pieces falling off the building. And then as we go to open the door, it looks like
it's dark.
A very old school movie theater where they actually have you like...
It was like a window. Ticket window. It's 10 and 2. You can't see the person on the other side.
They're like, it was what? $30? And it was just for you to get in. Because females got in free.
30?
It was $30.
I thought it was $15.
Something along those lines. Somewhere between 15 and 30.
Okay.
And so we're like, we're just trying to go to the store. And the guy was like, okay, well, if you go in, you can't look at the dancers. And I'm like, we're not looking at the dancers anyway.
Yeah, which, by the way, when you go in there, it's so dark. Like, once you get out of it, because, like, when you go in the front door, there's, like, this dark little box, which is, excuse me, sorry. It's like you're in this dark box. Like, think of, like, a dark room, okay? To your right is the ticket taker. But then there's like a black wall in the front of you and a black door to the left of you. And then once you go in, then you're inside. But even inside there, it's dimly lit. And the decor is like 1970s diners. Like, think of that video by Super Drag, Sucked Out. Like, who sucked out the feet? All right, nobody's going to get that. But if you look at, okay, no, better yet, Can't Hardly Wait. At the end of the movie, they're at that diner. Remember? Mm-hmm. It looks like that. It looks like that kind of diner, but it's like dingy, dimly lit.
Yes.
The people dancing on the tables.
No, there was no tables. Okay.
Okay.
So let me explain this part.
Okay.
So we go in. The door opens, and there is about 8 dancers. There's 4 on the first wall whenever you walk in, and there's 4 on the next wall.
Yes.
They each have a pole, but they're on this weird step that's like 2 feet off the ground.
Right.
And then there's a table in front of each dancer with chairs. There was, 4 people in there?
Yeah, had to be
to have
4.
been at least 4 people.
They said they had like showers for truckers.
Right.
Which is so weird.
So as I'm trying not to look at these dancers, they're topless. That's fine. I don't care about that. But looking at their face, they were definitely day strippers.
Okay.
Because we went there during the day. They are homely.
Okay.
So they can only work during the day because night shift is for the good-looking girls.
Forgive my sins, Jesus. Save my soul. That's the billboard I'm looking at right now. Sorry, go ahead. Actually, well timed.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So it was kind of grungy. We were trying really not to look at these girls.
Right.
And as we turned the corner to go towards the store, which is on your left,
yes,
there are little rooms, or what I would assume to be rooms, even though they're not really rooms.
Yes.
They look like voting booths. So there's a tiny ass curtain in front of each little
that's for like
square.
a lap dance, probably?
Yes.
Okay.
But what's the point of getting a private lap dance if everyone can see?
This is true.
Right. So they were literally only about 2 feet by 1 foot, these booths. They were so crazy looking. So we went into the store, and literally everything in the store is expired.
Yeah.
The lube was expired.
I think we ended up getting some sort of a toy.
We did end up getting a toy.
Okay, there you go. That's all we're saying about that.
That's all we're saying. 'Cause
well, we had to buy something because we didn't want to get like killed if we didn't buy
yeah,
something.
he was like, you either buy something or get out.
Did he say that?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And he waited there, literally. So we wouldn't look at his homely looking girls. I'm sorry, I'm not about your life. Mm-mm.
That's so weird. Like, okay, this could be a weird topic, but like, had you ever been in like a strip club?
No.
You'd never been in one?
Never.
Okay. That was definitely on the scary end of ones I've been into. There were some ones that were less weird. I mean, there's no easy way to say it because a lot of strip clubs are very dirty. I mean, you really, and maybe I just went into crappy ones when I was younger, but like, there is no like good strip club that I know of. They're all kind of very weird.
Okay.
Yeah, all kind of very weird.
I believe you.
Which is why I mean, like if I was a single man, I still wouldn't go into them because they're just like weird. They're weird and they're dirty. So, anyway, There's that.
Yes, no, I had never been into one.
Okay. So, needless to say, we got in our car and we peeled ass out of there.
We did.
Because we were going south at that time. I do remember that.
Yeah.
So, we were trying to get to Charleston as soon as we could. And actually, looking at the map here, we have looking at the sign, we have 2 miles till our exit. We still have another hour till we get there, but we are making incredible time.
Yep.
We are pretty much on schedule for as best I could tell. So, let's see here. Would you believe that this podcast has now gone over an hour already? Would you believe that?
Yes, I believe it.
Well, you're
driving that long.
You're the first person to say that because most people are like, "Oh my God, I can't believe we've gone this long." That's what I was looking for, and you just took all the mystique away.
I'm sorry.
All right, well, this has been fun. I'm glad you decided to want to hang out with me on the podcast. Not that you had a choice in the matter.
You never asked me, so that's why I was like, he doesn't want me on it.
I would have always liked to have you on there.
But you never asked, so I'd assume that you didn't want me on it.
Well, this is kind of cool because there's just so many ties to our relationship with this trip, the place we're going. We got to share some of these stories. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I don't want to go any longer because I feel like there's more stories, and the next time she comes back, we'll have more stories to tell.
We have lots of stories. We've been together so long.
I know. But I think as far as where we're going, the context of where we're going, where we're at right now on the highway and all that stuff, I think we gave the folks some good stuff here.
Okay.
She doesn't put over anything,
no.
By the way. Nothing.
Only stuff I do.
There's that sign again. Let them work. Let them live.
Well, they should get out of the way then.
That sign always made me laugh. Let them work.
You know you're in the Southwood.
You see that sign. Let them work. Let them live.
Especially if you're in Georgia, because they always have construction.
everywhere. I always thought the construction was a cash grab, though, because every time we passed through, nobody was ever working on anything.
Can you, stay on the road?
I'm on the road. We're on an exit ramp, by the way.
She's trying to murder us, so if this is the last thing you hear from us...
But it won't be uploaded if I die.
Well, the government will put it up.
Yeah, right.
It's like our black box.
Our black box. And that's kind of cool, though, if you think about it. It's like, hey, we're podcasting, and, we have our own black box. So it's kind of cool. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. We do appreciate you hanging out with us today. We have another hour or so before we get to our destination. And hopefully next week I'll be coming to you from the lovely beaches of the Isle of Palms in Charleston, South Carolina. So thank you guys for tuning in. It was great to do another podcast for you. And please let me know on the Instagram any of the things, if you'd ever done any of the things I ever mentioned or we mentioned or whatever, any funny factoids or stories you have. I always love to hear it. DM me at Gary Cantrell. Where can they get you at, honey?
I am Heather Cantrell.
You are.
I am.
But that's your name.
That is me.
There it is. I love you.
I love you too.
Thank you so much for doing the podcast.
Thank you for inviting me.
And we'll be back next week. So
buy our shit.
Jesus. All right, now you tell them where to go.
You can go to hardworkalwayswins.com. I don't know the promo code.
Squad.
Just pay for it full price.
Jeez. She
I'm
is
kidding.
so stiff.
I'm kidding. It's Squad.
Yeah. Hard Work Squad. Well, it's Squad for Hard Work Squad. Yeah.
It just sounds weird. It reminds me of squid, and I don't like it.
We should make a special code on Black Friday that's squid. It's 20% off.
Or tentacles, and people write testicles.
Oh, Jesus. Great. All right. This podcast is over. Thank you guys for listening. Goodbye.